Hello everyone, welcome back to the Coding Explorer. This is Pradyumna and let us continue our exploration on the world of software. Before we begin, I hope that you watched my last video about dictionaries in Python. So let me give you the answer for the homework. If you remember, I had asked you to create a dictionary containing the description of 5 games and their names. And when the user asks one of them, you should display it. So let us begin. I'll create a new Python file as homework. So let me first create the description of all the games. So we have this dictionary. Now here you can see that all of these are capital. The first letter is capital. But if the user gives, we will always convert it into lowercase, so it will not match. So what we have to do is make this all of this in small, so that in lowercase, so that it works properly. So let us just do that. Now we'll ask the input game is equal to input of which game do you want to know about. So we know the game, what is it, but we have to also convert this into lowercase, and then we'll get the description by putting this in the description. We give description of the game. But the problem over here is that if the user gives something that is not there in our dictionary, it will show an error. So what we do is we check if game in description dot keys. So what happens here is that we check if this game in, so it literally means we are checking if this game is in the description keys. So the description keys returns a list of all the keys that are there, as you remember. So this is the in is used to find out if this is there in all of this. So if you remember, in was used even in iteration. So this is how you do it. We have to verify if it's there, then we take description of it. So what we do, we have to print this out. So print the description of this game. But what if we don't know? Then if we did not print anything, then the user will think that the program is not working. So what we do, we say print sorry, we do not have the description in our database. So let us just run it. I'll give I'll give football. So it tells me whatever it is. So let us run it again. Let me type hockey. So it is also working. Now let us try something that is not there. So it says it's not there in our database, because it'll check over here. If it's not there in the description.keys, it'll come here. So you can use this in even in other places where you want to check if something is present inside the other list or tuple. So let us begin with our today's class. We'll be learning about functions in Python. But what are functions? Functions are a block of code that are stored to carry it out afterwards or many times. So they execute when they are called. They might or might not have parameters, and they may also return anything. So if we have to understand this, let us just understand this basic syntax of how to make a function. So you give the function, we put it in definition, we give def, which is the defining, then we give the function name, and after that we give all the parameters that are required. So parameters are nothing but what you need from the user. So if you remember, if we use the print function, it asks the text or a string that should be displayed. So if we give print and then whatever is this thing, then it will be called an argument because we are calling the function. So when we use this syntax, the syntax to call a function, we give print and whatever is the arguments. So whatever are the arguments are taken as the parameters. So they will be taken inside a function and it will execute. So you can use this function many times, and then also you can use it to perform some calculations. So now let us understand about what it means by returning. So if you remember, we had used a function called randint, which is there in the random module. So randint takes parameters, that is a list, that is a range or a list. So what it does is it gives back any random number between that range. So what it does is that it performs some random, it chooses a random number, then it returns back. But if you see in the print statement, it does not return back anything. It just executes the code that displays the string that we have given in the console. So let us create a program. So we'll be creating a program that asks the user to give a number and displays all the factors of the number, and also tell if the number is prime or not. So it will be like this. So we first ask the number, if the whatever the user gives, then it displays what are the factors. So we'll be creating our own function that gives all the factors of a given number, and then we'll also create another function that checks if the number is prime or not, and then we'll verify and it'll store as a boolean value, and then we'll if the it is prime, then we'll say it is prime. If it's not, we'll say it is a composite number. So let us begin. I'll create a new project. I'll name it as class 8 functions. So let us begin. So first we'll ask the number from the user. So number input, enter the number. So we ask the user to enter the number, but of course we have to convert this into integer form or else it'll be a string, and we cannot do that. Now what should we do such that we get all this? So we need to create a function to get all the factors. So let us create a function. As you remember, to define a function we have to give def, which is a keyword, and then give whatever is the function name. So I'll give find factors. So here what it will do is it will take the number. So let's give no, or just give number. So what we have given here is a parameter. So this parameter is stored in the function, and it will use this parameter to execute our task. So what we'll do, find factors. So we'll just have a list containing all the factors. So now we are going to add all the numbers that we can find in this list. So for no in range of 1 comma number plus 1. So what we are going to do is we are going to iterate through a range in which it will contain all the numbers from 1 to the given number. When we iterate through it, we check if that number is a factor, if this number which the user has given is divisible by that number. So let us check if number is divisible. So you remember this is the percentage or the modulus symbol, so NO. So this number is all the factors which we are going to check. If it's, then we add this to the factors dot append this number. So what we are going to do is we create a range from 1. So let's take an example of 5 or 10. It takes a range, it will be 1 to 10, and then it iterates to that range. It will check with 1 if the given number, which is 10, is divisible by 1, then it'll add add this to the factors list, and then if it'll check with 2, 3, and it'll go on, and all the factors that are divisible will be added here. Now after all this, we need to return this, return factors. So if we do not return it, then this value will not be given to the function caller. So let us just find the store this is equal to find factors of number. So what we do is we tell find factors, which we have defined a function to give all the factors of number. So all the factors that are stored that are given will be stored in this factors. So it should not be confused with the factors that is here, because this factors will only be found in the find factors function and not be given to the outside the function. So we got all the factors, but what if we had to check if this number is prime? So let us see what to do. So we create another function called def is prime. So what it does is it takes the number, then it finds all the factors of the number. So we can use again the function that we already created instead of making it again. So we give factors is equal to find factors of the number which is given. So let this be number, number. So we get back the list that is containing it. So now what we'll do is we'll check if factors, we are going to check the length of factors, is equal to 2. So if a number has to be prime, then it should have only 2 factors, that is 1 and the number itself. So the 2 factors would be, so if we check if its length is only 2, then number has to be prime. So we say we return true. So we return that this number is prime. But what if the number is not? So we just return false. You can see here that I have not given an else block. That is because when we give a return statement, whenever we give the return statement, it stops the execution of the code at that moment, and it does not go any further. So if we give print it is not prime, if the number is prime, it will go here, it will check, and it will return the value as true, and it will never execute the code that is below it. So it will never come here. So instead of putting an else block, we can directly write return false. It means that this number is not a prime. So we can also tell this to the user. So now we have to print the factors that are there. Print the factors are. So again we had to make a for loop to print the numbers in a list such that you don't have the brackets, so that you look good. But what if we create another function that displays a list, so that you need not worry about if it's a problem. So we create def display list. So we take whatever is the list, then we iterate to the list for item in list of user we are going to print this item. So we'll print the items that are there. So instead of printing it over here, if we give the list over here, it will print it automatically. So the factors are, and then we write display list. We give the list that is there, that is our factors. So in this list, it does not return anything. So here we need not give an equal to sign, because since it does not return anything, it cannot be stored. So we'll also check if the given number is prime. So what we do is we just say is prime is equal to is prime of the number. We can just give prime. So if it checks if this number is prime, and it will store inside this value. This value will be a boolean value, which will be either true or it will be false. So what we are going to do is if prime is equal to true, so we check if prime is true. If it's true, we say print it is a prime number. But if it's not prime, we say it is a composite number. So let us just run and check if it works. So we have to just make sure that here it should be equal to 0. So if the number is divisible, so enter the number. So let us enter the number as 6. So you can see it's showing 1 2 3 6. Yes, it's a composite number. So let us give another a number. So enter the number. I'll just give it as 2. The factors are 1 and 2, so that is why it's a prime number. So if you see over here, it works properly because you first take the number, then you find the factors, you make this function, you call this function using the argument number. The argument is nothing but what you give in this. So if you take find factors, you'll get all the factors. You'll have an empty list at first, but it'll iterate to the number, all the numbers that are from the 1 to the number, and it'll check if it's divisible. Then it'll add this to the factors, then it'll return this factors. So after returning factors, this it will be stored in factors. Then we print the factors, so we use this display function. So here, instead of print item, just that, we can give end is equal to a comma. So we give a comma, and after that we also need at the last give a print statement. That is because if we give the it is a prime number, then it will also come next to the numbers that are displayed. So if we give this, it will display this in a list, and then it will check if the number is prime. So here what we are doing is we are checking prime, what if the number is prime. So what is prime does is that it takes a number, it finds factors using the numbers we using the function we have defined. Then it checks if it's only two numbers that are there, and then if it's only two factors that are there, it will return true, saying that the number is prime. But if it's not, it will return false. So here you can see that we are putting this variable inside prime and again putting over here. So instead of that, what we can do is directly we can write is prime over here. So we need not even create another variable. So we'll check if is prime. So we'll ask it, it'll give true or false. And also you need not have this true, because anything that is true will run, because this returns a boolean value, and if needs a boolean value. So we just make it if is prime, then we'll check the number, then it'll print prime, or it'll return composite. So if you want, you can run it, enter the number 7. The factors are 1 and 7. As you can see, it's a prime number. Before you leave, let me tell you that all the code we did today is put up in GitHub. I've provided the link to the repository in the description. So here you have to go to class 8 functions, and you'll find the code that we did today. So if you have any doubt, you can come here and verify if you have done it correctly. So let me give you the homework. So you have to create a function that takes a string and then displays the number of vowels that are there in the string. So you have to ask the user, then you need to create a function that takes a string, and then you need to have all the vowels that are there, and then check if each word, check to each letter and check if that letter is a vowel, and then add the number of the vowels that are there and then return it. So it is the riddle time. So what building has the most stories? Think twice. So you might be thinking that it's the Burj Khalifa, but what if I tell you it's wrong? So the answer is a library, because it has the largest number of books and hence the largest number of stories. So thank you everyone. I hope that you liked the riddle. Please learn, like, subscribe and share, and click on the bell button for my next videos. And if you have any doubts, please put it in the comment section. We'll be learning about classes in Python.